What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the Cozy Cast. We're back just like that, and today our episode is chock full of everything you could want for the esports scene in Rivals. We're going to talk about all the regions, all the teams, our top players, and most importantly, the predictions before it's too late. And I got myself 4 awesome guests today. Let's jump right into it. Alrighty, guys. Well, I've got the team of our version of the Avengers. So many talented casters here on our team. Vodible, welcome, my man, to the Ignite team. Couldn't be more pumped to have you. And we've got Shibb and Legday. But Vod, how does it feel? We'll start with you to join the team.
Yeah, I feel awesome. I mean, it's been great to, follow along with the action the past year and some change since we saw from the beta all the way into full release. And now I feel like this is the full combination of the esport building up into what I like to tout as like the actual first real season of Ignite. It was like the test phase that we saw last year, and 2026 is the year for the greatest esport to be birthed for Marvel Rivals. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Leg, how you doing, man? How you feeling? Good to have you here you're now in the States, yeah?
Yeah, I've made my way over to California. I could take a quick road trip south to come see you. If a fancy ever strikes me, I'm very excited to get stuck into the proper first year, as Vodible put it. We weren't actually doing esports until Vodible arrived. Now it's really esports, baby.
Exactly. Year 0, man. A lot of ebbs and flows with it for sure. I always strike the fancy to see you, by the way. The fancy is strucken, so if you want to come on down any time, my friend, there is nothing like replacing Legday. Shibb, I think you can definitely attest to this. Like, obviously, you weren't there at Atlanta. Man, the way it's like you're a storyteller in your casting, and it's the perfect thing that I miss, and I'm glad to have you back, bud.
Thank you, boss.
Shibb, good to have you, bud.
Yeah, good to be here, buddy. Stoked for round 2, as we kick this thing back up. I mean, it's crazy that it's starting here in a week, bro. It feels like we just yesterday finished up the finals, but I'm happy, and I couldn't be more amped to get started.
Well, if you're watching this, guys, the reason I try to put this out today is you have, I think, less than 1 day to get your predictions in. I know we've all posted them on Twitter. We're going to all do them here together in just a moment. In each region, I think I try to do the best we could to get people that can talk to each region. There's so many great casters, so we'll have, again, a lot of guests throughout here. Can't wait for it. But before we dive into that, gentlemen, we got a couple things to break down. First and foremost, the bundles have been released. And just like anything, in my opinion, NetEase kind of takes expectations, and they always go a step above. And I feel like, I don't know about y'all, but I feel like specifically with the bundles, man, they nailed it. They did a great job, even with just like kind of the jersey look.
I mean, I'm a huge fan of all of these. Like, I think that retexturing, like you said, is kind of above and beyond. We used to like palette swaps often for like brands colorways on character base skins, but getting the extra jersey work in there, being able to change the back plate to match some of these teams' logos really is allowing the teams. Also, they have the freedom to like change their sprays into different community memes as well. Like, got 1,000-yard stare Jeff from 100 Thieves. They've done a fantastic job.
Yeah, dude. I mean, hey, that's the one I picked. I didn't want to do all the bundles, so I'm like, yeah, I just picked one, and you're correct. I mean, Vod, you saw these right as they launched. Just having a little bit of personality, right?
I think that's the big thing that really separates some of the bundles from the others, is having something outside of, the esport itself for people to latch on to and be like, oh, maybe I don't care as much about the esports scene or these orgs, but I see that Jeff mood and I'm going to get that every single time. I mean, Heretics, they have the playing for the vibes spray for theirs. I mean, that's what I had to shout out for a moment. And then a couple other unique ones that we see across the different bundles really makes them stand out.
Chip?
Yeah, man, I was gonna call the Heretics playing for the vibes. I mean, that is just crazy that they just accepted that. I love the NetEase team for allowing that to flow through. But yeah, man, personally, just a big fan of the idea behind it. Rep your favorite team. I think Deadpool is obviously disgusting, especially Vanguard Pool, even after these changes and stuff like that. So again, this is the way to move forward. I think, giving a chance for these teams to make some additional cash is, just to be real with everybody, is an amazing thing for the pro scene. You want these teams to profit because they want to stay in the scene, and then it transversely, symbiotically moves forward.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think if you care about
as well, because of his 3 roles as well, so everyone can have it, right?
Oh yeah,
truth.
That's a good point. I think if you obviously you care about esports in some sense of the matter, if you're watching this, or maybe you just stumbled upon us for idiots talking, but either way, we're glad to have you. But no, I think what Vod said is really true. For me, right when Overwatch Esports came out, the bundles came, and I was like, I don't really, at the time, I was like, I don't really, I liked Genji a different color. And that's why I got, that skin. And I think it's important to have something for casuals because there's this ever-growing environment. Shibb and I last episode talked about the ecosystem in the game is like, could not be better, right? And so we'll take more of these casuals. I think personally, the kind of ESU skins is where they're going in general. With, with these. And so, because Morphl's an interesting beast, right? Because they're so careful. I don't know if you guys know this, but like Disney, I knew this. Like Ariel, Little Mermaid has a team of people that are like the color palette. Like they're very particular with these characters, right? So Marvel's no different. So you can't like completely go crazy, I think, with the esports skin look, but you can do what is in this case like the accessories and stuff. And I think the sky's the limit, and there's definitely going to be more coming.
I mean, you talk about the accessories and stuff. It'd be really cool if we eventually do get like those accessories where you can have them for specific heroes, like for the actual orgs themselves. I mean, that'd be a really cool way because people are wanting like universal like decals or universal like costumes, and I think it's a little bit too tough based on those IP rights that you were mentioning, Cozy, to have to do that for every single hero. So maybe the accessory would be like the way to go with it.
Predictions, fellas. We'll start with Leg, then maybe Shibb, Vod. What is the next hero you think gets the skin? Just what does your gut tell you?
Okay, so judging by what I've seen of Akia, I think it's going to be Black Cat. I think she's the easiest to retexture in the leotard. So I think one for the ladies, I think Black Cat's going to be the next one to start getting some repalettes.
And just for like 90% of the Rivals player base, dude, they're going to be stoked when they see the skins for Black Cat. I have no doubt. But I mean, honestly, just to throw another hat in the ring, I think that's first off, that's probably where it's going to land. But Jeff the Baby Land Shark could not be more of a mascot for the game, right alongside Luna. And I could just see a giant oversized jersey for Jeff floating and easily working for the teams.
Vod?
Yeah, I mean, like, I kind of have to agree on both of those, especially with Jeff. I mean, looking towards future heroes specifically, I think it'd be really cool if whenever Cyclops is in the game, like, having the leader of the X-Men have their own jersey, like, that'd be so cool in my mind.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, listen, I was going to say EMEA, because I was going Legdays around a little bit, but, dude, I even think about Black Cat. That's the slam dunk right there. I mean, I think that crosses a couple. And then, I mean, let's face it, guys. Come on. We all know Luna is going to... We all know Luna is going to get it. Just whether we like it or not.
Another legendary. Five more legendaries. That's what we need.
Shout out to Danny Q.
And a buff.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Danny Q will make it happen regardless. But yeah, so I'm excited to see what those come out and kind of what rate they come out, and how they support the teams. Ultimately, if you don't know why these are important, it's just super impactful for these teams to get really some of their investment back, right, and to create this scene and continue for that to flourish with the partner teams and as we look ahead. Now, guys, let's jump into the predictions, but right before that, we just had a quick patch. Deadpool, very marginal, but slight nerf-ish to at least the heal pool and Deadpool himself, not tank pool, don't know how. And then we've got a slight Emma nerf, 25 health, and a ton of White Fox changes, namely... with the tail resource, keeping the self-sustain alive across the kit. Honestly, more survivability. What do you think, fellas? In general, how does this affect the meta?
Oh man, I think the big thing is that towards the floor of players who are trying to explore with White Fox, it really elevates that, makes it easier to get into, and I think that's something that they were missing when this hero launched. Right, we saw with Gambit, we saw with Elsa that. A little bit overtuned, right? And that made it so people were more excited to play them and got a lot more hours on it. White Fox, I think, had a little bit of the opposite effect where you'd see a lot of the pros playing because there's so much skill expression, but maybe some of the casual ranked players wouldn't really be picking them up as much. So I think this really puts it more in line with the more recent hero changes that we've seen for the recent releases, at least the last couple of seasons.
I think this is going to enable a brand new off-angling style for White Fox as well. Like you brought up Overwatch earlier, Kiriko has a similar style where they can kind of go with a flanker and try and lay down some pain on the back line. And being able to quickly dip from that engagement, if say you're going with an Iron Fist who's got a kick out or something, or a Spidey who's going to swing away, being able to TP out to your other strategists at a moment's notice does mean that you can have some consequence 3, like 2 men in the back line, which can really open up an angle on something, let's say Symbiotic Surface.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on board with both of you. I think the first thing that we should even address is Fox is already being played at the top. For those who maybe thought Fox wasn't good, she's been being played in scrims heavily and is very much a character that dives with dive and has an escape. And now you have plenty more avenues of escape.
Self
And
heals
you're
too, like
yeah. Now you have a lot of answers. So I think she's going to be absolutely meta after these changes to the point where she might be a bannable target coming up in these early preseason stuff.
Yeah, I see a lot of stuff that's like, we asked for just the resource of the tails. Like, you did too much, and now she's going to get banned like across the board. As a duelist, man, her effect has been, man, the quick shield to me when I'm like, oh, I overcommit. I'm going to die here. But I got 2, but I'm going to die. And then you just quickly get that relief. Like, dude, her ult's a little bit underwhelming in some ways, right? Like, even with Blade, I just like face tank it a lot of time. Like, you can just like go at it. But man, even crazier when the CC changes come in season 7.5, obviously a lot of tanks are going to rise up, but that Fox is going to get better too, depending on how
she won't get chained as much. My gosh.
Yeah.
That's her one weakness in the alt form.
Gets destroyed. Off question for Legday. I don't know why I'm going to veer this path, but I have to. You mentioned Overwatch. When you're cast, have you ever been close to just popping out like a Genji or like a, I don't know, just a...
What worst one's Black Widow / Widowmaker? Like, no hesitation. Like, I just have to say Widow because I will say Widowmaker by accident. like even when I'm just casually talking about Black Widow, I'll call her Widowmaker. So like both having that sniper identity, having Widow-based names, it's just for Sing Neuron fires, you know? That's the worst one.
So dude, big Overwatch is the reason that they haven't been buffed, so that we don't have to worry about like they mispronouncing.
Dude, I'm full convinced they could delete Black Widow from the game, and it would take like 2 days for people to even be like, wait, someone's not here. Dude, when Namor's Halloween skin was out, the costume for that, I, on air in Atlanta, said, this reminds me of El Dorado's background. And I was like, no.
The Disney animated movie El Dorado, right?
Exactly.
Coco. Yeah, I think that one's worse. Disney I would get a laser to my head quicker from that than who was it too? Someone was casting with Drop the DC.
It was
one too.
Oh,
but, no, an Overwatch one Shibb.
No, I was there, and I remember you shifted it into that calling out El Dorado to something. It was Coco related or something. I was like, I was like, well, that was smooth, buddy. You know what I mean? I remember being like, okay, way to fix that. I think I jumped on with you. I was like, just like Coco. You know what I mean? Like, I did Los Muertos or something like that. I popped it. I can't remember, but it cracked me up, bro.
You cannot
wait. Danica was hovering over delete contact at his phone, like.
Oh yeah. It was done. I felt the kill switch in my neck about to go off from Guang Guang. I could just feel it at any point. But listen, let's go and talk about the predictions. Let's jump into it. Again, guys, if you don't know, the preseason is starting off Friday, and then we kick off, I think, 3-4 days in a row, right, guys? And it's going to be packed. It's going to
be a lot.
I can't stress this enough. If people want to follow us for our predictions, fantastic. This first set is as close as it gets to we don't know, because there's so much roster mania. I think there's obviously the top end and the bottom ends that are a bit easier to solve in some regions, but truly, players can drastically change how they are as a team. Just because you have talent doesn't mean all that much. So you have to just compare it. And I don't want to go down this rabbit hole too much. Scrims, I think, are important. I don't weigh them as much as other people.
They can't be everything,
personally, because we've seen, Legday, like we saw that a lot in Ignite. I felt like where scrims didn't matter all that much.
Yeah, when we were over in Guangzhou, there was a lot of doomerism around scrims, like, oh, this team is boned. Like, they haven't won a single scrim, or like this team is dominating in scrims, so clearly they're going to be the ones to win the tournament. But like, there's a big intangible in every esport, right? Of like, the nut up or shut up. When it comes to being on the game day, sometimes your practice doesn't completely translate. Sometimes you're trying to have a performance scrim, playing the best you can. The enemy team are trying to do an experimental scrim where they're maybe not trying their absolute best. They're seeing what works. They're being a bit experimental in their own right. And that can give you some maybe less than ideal data about where you stand amongst your peers. So at the end of the day, it all counts on whether or not they're actually going to turn up in the matches for Shroud X.
Yes.
Oh man.
Definitely. Oh man, taking blows out of nowhere, man. Shroud just like fell over on his desk out of just the shoot. Leg day straight. Shibb, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm with you. I mean, we talked about the famous MV situation, right? MV was dominating his scrims. Everybody in every region, you know, I don't want to beat a dead horse essentially, but you know, every region was saying,
horse.
"Oh man,
they're dead."
Yeah, they are, and they're scattered to the glue factory now, and they're shipped to all the other teams for the glue to keep the teams together. But no, it was you know, again, I think the team looked dominant in scrims, but just like was saying, I mean, a lot of scrims can mean different things for different teams. I've witnessed, you know, experimental scrims today alone that I would not bank on the team losing in a scrim saying that, oh, they lost that. I would say, oh, they learned something in that, and that could help them. So it's a tricky position. It doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, and just like the big light too, like we'll get to some of the reasons why I put people where, but I've seen teams just play better on the big stage, and they can be good in the, you know, in the quick, you know, when things aren't on the line, but when you have the pressure and the views and the eyeballs, and it's only going to get worse, hopefully, as the scene continues
Grand Finals
to grow. Yeah, no, that's definitely, oh man, FlyQuest like all the time. But yeah, with that, let's dive into, fellas, what this is going to be about. So first of all, here's the preseason teams. If you don't know who is playing, and they obviously are separated into groups. Quickly, I'll go to give you guys the rundown on America. Shibb, I'll give you halfway through here. But obviously, 100 Thieves is probably the most returning team as far as members go across the board. Obviously, I have a big departure in Terra going over to Na'Vi, but Self is more than adequate to fill that spot, in my opinion, in a different way that I think could be healthy for the team. FlyQuest, they just announced their roster, fellas. I mean, the biggest change in a team, right? So definitely FlyQuest looking much different, and most of them is to the team to the right of them in Liquid. This team is stacked. We'll get across to that, but definitely some of the more talented folks you know from FlyQuest over there with their main vest staying with Fly. And then, you know, looking at Sentinels, going to go just straight down. Looking at Sentinels and what they bring, this is obviously a team that's been in here since the beginning, and they brought the party back. Armory's not there anymore, but Crimzo, Karova, Rymazing, that kind of duo or triple is all together. I think not having Armory will be interesting. She's going to be missed, but I think with Crimzo, you know, there's just a different dynamic for that team. It's going to be interesting to see how they come together. Shibb, you want to talk about a few here?
Yeah, so I mean, we'll jump out to that. I mean, Space Station Gaming, I mean, this is a team that, you know, obviously new to what we can see here in Ignite, but it's a lot of names you know. Blur, Doom, Fidel, Month. You've seen, obviously, speaking of Envy, talking about shipping them around a little bit. Nectar, they are disgusting, right? As a duelist, really play virtually everything. And then SJW, who's actually going to be a sub, a very similar duelist that we've seen across the board. So this team, it just has a lot of talent, but we have literally no idea how they play together. And I think that's going to be the big shock surprise. TSM, probably the most storied team potentially in Rivals as a whole, just because of how many W's they have taken home. But now it is an entirely new. Oh, not TSM, excuse me. TSM is brand new. Let me start fresh here. TSM, I was like 100 Thieves at the top of my head. TSM, a brand new roster coming in, but we've seen these names together as a unit prior, right? So you've got Bedtime Story, Gale, Gilbert, Guru, Pizza Demon. All these guys have played together hit scan fashion for a very long time, and some of them are at the top of ladder right now. But this is not necessarily, in my opinion, their meta. They're more of a hit scan team. So I do want to see how they play here in Ignite as we move forward. They could be disgusting. Then we'll keep moving. Do you want me to go through all of them individually?
Yeah, man. I mean, you can hit up. I'll go Swamp. Go ahead and hit Nightmare up.
Okay, so Nightmare, obviously, this is a team with Light. Light was on old school FlyQuest. Mace, who we've seen on teams in past, running comms, a very good comm leader. Monster, one of the strongest Hulks I've seen, but now definitely plays some of that Vanguard pool. You've got Vision, who is, a dirty DPS, plays a lot of Namor, but now, just that hit scan side is always available. And Smash as a substitute, who was on Dark Zero, one of the few controller duelists. It's something that I think is more of a unique selection, especially at the top level, but being able to do that is just tapping into the Matrix at this point. I have no idea how you're able to play at this level as a duelist on controller. So definitely got the talent there on Nightmare, and this is kind of their meta, right? They love this kind of more divey style of play. So I do think they have some potential, which just in comparison to a team like TSM, I think it's more different for them, right? And then you want to jump into Swamp?
Yeah, I mean, Nightmare for me is like if I got a Scrabble board and I just grabbed a bunch of players out. It's like there's just so many players from different parts of the teams and the board. And Light for me is a great example. I think he was on Euphoria way back when. Like that was the first MRC in season 0. But with them, Light essentially got dropped from FlyQuest because of flexibility, but there's so much time for improvement there. He obviously grinds a lot, so I want to see kind of how he's evolved. Honestly, a lot of these players have these individual storylines on this team that I think make it interesting. They have a lot of prove it and Vision, probably the biggest shock that didn't get signed to another team, in my opinion. But they have the talent. We'll see if they put it together. Swamp Gaming, fellas, I guess not to get into my rankings too much, but Swamp Gaming, in my opinion, this is essentially Nemesis, right, from the past. And Nemesis has been done so well until it matters to the most. They are always the team that's the first cut from going to LAN every single time. No matter how good they look, they always are. And I don't care how well they're doing now. I need to see how they do on the stage because they have the talent. We could talk about that forever, but how do they put it all together? Bottom three, we're going to be quick. These are the MRC teams. Pour one out quite literally for Cafe Rose. I mean, I think not only did they have a tough time in the MRC, but they had a tough time against a team that got swept. So, we lost. Did the most dominant performance we've seen in an MRC. It was 28 minutes for 4 games combined in a best of 7 is filthy. It's a dive meta. It favors them a lot. But they are the new hot team, and we've seen in the past that new hot teams are always, always kind of translates to pro play. That being said, though, that was a mouthful. Here's the teams. Here's the predictions. Fellas,
I think it's also worth...
Oh, Shibb, go ahead.
Yeah, no, just sorry, dude. Just added on to Cafe Rose. It's also worth adding a couple of the players got dropped just due to age, which is crazy, right? So I think it's something that I think people are going to see the roster and wonder where Sticky is, right? And say things like, where are they? It's just an age thing. It's as simple as that. They literally just can't compete because they're not old enough. So just keep that in mind.
Part 2 is they did pick up like the 2 duelist players from the Extinction roster that was playing in MRC, and the young players went to a different org and basically faced off against the current Cafe Rose and beat them. So it's like this Cafe Rose team kind of struggling to compete with outside of Ignite right now. And I mean, kind of looking at those predictions, I was thinking the same thing. Like Cafe Rose kind of at the bottom in my rankings personally as well.
I don't want to get ahead, fellas, but I think Leg, you're the only one I don't know. I think we can all agree here that this is probably the spot for them.
I don't like hot drinks anyway.
Dude, you're British, isn't the tea?
I know, that's why I left. I couldn't stand to be around the tea drinkers any longer.
So this is the easiest one on here. I think we could go with, we'll do Group A, then Group B. So 6 across the board here. Let's start. I guess we'll always go in the same kind of circle just to keep things hot and fluid. Let's go to Vod, Leg, Shibb, and then back to me. So for number 5 in Group A, who do you got?
This is so tough because like this is the group of death, right? And it really can come down to just based on like the comps that they're playing. For me personally, I gotta go NRG on this one. I don't know if I'm crazy on this, but I just feel like in terms of the current meta, in terms of what I've seen from the other teams, even FlyQuest, like I was questioning before, but I heard from Legday some insight on that a little bit, so it kind of bumped them up a bit for me as well. So I got to put energy here for now. It's not confident, but this is where I'm just feeling currently based on where I feel the other teams are ranking and based on the scrim bucks, as we like to call them, that we've seen. We can only go so much off of like the results we've seen before.
Leg?
Yeah, NRG for me also. Like, I'm buying the Chime stock, but I think that this team might not be going into the greatest meta for them here. Like, I think that Fraud's definitely going to be someone who needs to be kept an eye on when it comes to the Psylocke, but if Fraud is in the roster, I think Psylocke's an easy ban against this NRG Shock roster. So for now, before they really find their feet, I'm going to put them in 5th.
Shibb, who got 5?
Yeah. I was going to say, this is different for me. I still got Fly down at 5 for me. I mean, I have to see them play. I think, I still think some of their talents, discussing shout out Vest, I think probably one of the best, at least main Vanguards in the game, or at least has been for Magneto. But I've seen a lot of the teams perform. I've seen a lot of the talent out there right now and how teams are looking. And I don't put energy down there right now. I got to keep Fly down there.
Yeah, so this is clearly, like, I think out of almost all the regions, even EMEA, I had the most difficult time from like 3 to 5 in the Americas. Because I think they have talent. They have a lot of like, okay. But this is where we're going to be able to tell how they work as a team, because they all have different talent, but how do they come together? Obviously, having Melio, Kin, Legday, you're very familiar with these guys. Like, I need to see how they do. Obviously, no shade. I think Melio is a great player. Him out of Na'Vi was just a different player, and then that's going to happen again. So what does he, what does he show up as? Because Vest is great. They certainly have the talent. I just don't.
Jolly's my biggest question mark about this team.
Yeah.
Who is?
That's so true.
Jolly.
Oh, yeah.
Formerly Axray.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have the same pedigree as the rest of these players, to be honest.
So I think
I'm sure he did well in tryouts.
We put it in our chat all together. I think that a lot of the America teams seem like there's like one or so, maybe two players that if you were to replace, you're like, okay, but it's like, we'll have to see. And people can grow and stuff. But yeah, Jolly, definitely. I think for me, this is the sleeper. Both the fives are Group B and A for me here. Like these could impress me. Could blow away and we could look dumb, but as of now, I just don't have the stock. So, Vodible 4.
Oh man. So Legday and I did like our own power rankings for stuff, and I'm already changing it based off of like the current like patches and everything as well. So I think for this one, personally, I'm gonna go FlyQuest. Again, like looking at it after we were like doing our own decisions, I was thinking like still have to see a little bit more from this, and like Jolly specifically after doing a little bit more research, it's too much of an unknown for me personally compared to the rest of the teams that are in my 1, 2, and 3. So that's how I gotta go with FlyQuest.
Okay, for me, I'm gonna draw some ire here. I've put Sentinels in 4th.
Ooh.
I think that Adam has he's lost a dimension. He's 2D now. He's been flattened. Which is unideal when you've got possibly the best Adam player in the world as like one of your star captains. I think there's still going to be a couple of backline coordination issues for this roster. Don't get me wrong, I think they're going to be better later on in the year, but I think they're going to start off a little bit weak. I also don't believe in their Vanguard pool. I think that that's going to be a major thing that's missing for this roster, at least for the preseason tournament.
Okay, I respect that. Yeah, see, I think Sen's not bad. I think that they've got some potential, right? So, but I'm not going to battle that because I actually have them up.
Yeah,
I want to see what happens there.
Once a team's revealed on, I guess, all 4 of ours, we could then talk about said team more, right? So we'll wait, I guess, there. Okay. What do you got on 4, Shibb?
For my 4th place team, I've got Space Station. Hold on, I'm trying to pull up my thing here to make sure I have it correctly.
Oh, you mean Swamp Gaming?
Swamp Gaming?
Oh, Swamp, excuse me. Yeah, I got to check the sides here. I'm pulling it up literally right now, the esports tab. But yeah, Swamp. I've got Swamp there right now. Hold on, cuz I'm still pulling up my roster. My whole game just crashed on me right when I was looking at it, which is devastating timing.
You're good.
So I'm panicking right now.
You've got Swamp there.
Oh, yeah, okay. But I got to look at the roster, which I normally have in front of me when I'm talking about it.
It's
okay. Yeah, right. So back to what back what I was saying. Yeah, so I've got Swamp there right now. I think this team always runs weird stuff and found success with it, but I don't think they perform under bright lights as much. So they've got to prove it to me. I think the top 4 here on bracket A is so interchangeable that it's really like pulling teeth. I don't know what the right answer is going to be until we actually see it, but that's where I've got them for now.
Yeah,
that's kind of why you see it all be different for everyone.
No, it's cool. Hey, listen, it'd be boring if we all had the same. And this is, I think, in future episodes, fellas, we're gonna have a bit more lined up, probably with a bit more analytical data. I've got NRG. We can talk about them more as a full when we see them on the others. But to match you 3, this is the talent alone that it has me the most excited. Like as a talent. Now as a team. Like, look at Envy from last year. It's like, wow, they had a lot of good players, but you put it all together. But, man, they've got Window, who I think was a fine tank. Obviously, there's things he could clean up, but what he's bringing, Velocity's a fantastic shot caller. And then you bring that with a lot of, like, Dreamland and what they had, man. I think Stinkers is very talented and up and rising. And continues to be. This team is sexy, but I don't know, like, how hot they are, I don't know.
I agree on that end, too.
So I guess as we move forward, and we'll go to more NRG when we get to Shibb where he has them. Vod, who you got at 3?
So I'm also kind of going against the mold here a little bit, putting Sen at 3 for myself, mainly because of the way that we've been seeing the game played a little bit. It's been less so the teams kind of like grouped up as much, and with the alt charge nerf, there's been a lot less focus on Adam Warlock, and even Kurova was trying to tweet and plead at Guang to be like, please, or Guang or Ziyong, somebody give him his wings back because he's lost a lot of the health that he was able to heal his team specifically with because the team up change that went away with that, and then also just not as much usage because of the ult charge changes. And at least in EMEA, we haven't been seeing as much like Loki being played too over there. So it's like, okay, you don't have as much to deal with, the triple strategist lineup that we would see. It's kind of a bit more of a nerf too. And then Kurova was focusing so much on Adam Warlock because he felt so good before now. And then it's like, okay, they're going to have to learn from that. And recently, even before this, because there's only one tournament to really go off of, the Mega Monthly, we saw some great things from, the roster here, which was the Lunex team that they used to be called. There's been like 4 different versions of Lunex. They looked really good, but then they also kind of struggled towards the end to really like perform under the pressure. And I feel like that's the biggest thing that I'm kind of questioning for the Sentinels roster.
But did you guys see the Adam Warlock photo on Twitter this morning of the angle,
I did.
the flashbang?
Yes, I did.
I'm not gonna lie, I had them in third before that picture.
Yeah, no, I had him. Dude, I bumped them up from that picture, man. I was like, that's a man. You throw that at somebody mid game, they're done. The cloak player is completely distracted.
Leg, who Storm too for the team up.
Yeah, right. Shibb, who you got? Legday, who you got 3?
I got Swamp Gaming at 3. These guys are just like some consistent good players. I don't expect them to dominate the group. I don't expect them to flounder either. Very boring take.
For me, this is where it gets controversial. And again, I did this to be a little different, and I think I have reasoning for it. Okay, I put 100 Thieves down here, and I think everybody and their mother puts them in first. But let me explain. I think right now, although they're not really in roster media, I think they kind of struggle early on mentally. I think, sometimes I just don't see this team perform the way that they can perform, and then they kind of get locked in as a unit and they look super clean. Whereas I think when we move up my list a little bit, there are teams that have more structured leadership in terms of comms on go time, and that for early preseason, that's why I shift things up.
It's not a bad point, man. For preseason alone, like that's why I almost put. So I have Swamp at 3, and I almost put him at 1 because I expect them out the gate to go crazy, and then like kind of taper down in the bigger games. So I do, because this is not like this isn't carrying over to June. This is right now for just the preseason. A lot of good points.
Isn't even for playoffs either. It's just for the group stage too. So it's like it could completely change from here to then. It's just insane.
For sure. And I've got Swamp, which leaves just Vod with it, and I think that's your 2 if I were to take a stab.
Yeah,
so
we
that'll
definitely be my 2. Yeah.
I think. Yeah, I mean, I kind of just said it. Nemesis. They have every time. I'm like, man, this team. They play lights out together, and then they'll lose to Shroud X. I mean, like back in the day, or like something that's just like, what happened to this team? Or they'll like win their first 2-0, and then it's like 0-2, 1-2, they're out. And so I need to see, because in the duelist department, they don't have any like C tier players kind of thing. And I think that's what the average makes them so good. But they also, in my opinion, I don't have like an S, like wow, that guy's the different, the different mate.
Yeah, I can understand that too. But I think that's what makes them more reliable than some of these other teams, right? Where you were mentioning like there's this one weakness for certain teams where I feel like they're all kind of even playing field for Swamp Gaming. And also, because they've been out of the limelight in comparison to some of these teams, I feel like they've been able to work on some strats in the back end that they're saving for actual preseason, especially knowing like their coaching staff and managerial staff that they have over there. So I'm really excited to see like what they can actually whip up for this, and I think they'll catch a lot of teams off guard with that.
Like,
and 100 Thieves, I mean, it's 100 Thieves. I mean, like they picked up most of their like old roster for the most part, of course, other than the changes that we saw. And I still think like undisputed, this has to be like my number 1 for now until otherwise proven differently, because they're just such a good squad. I mean, we saw inklings of it during the MRC runs where they were playing together during that, and they just looked unstoppable for the most part there. Of course, even when they weren't like playing super seriously, and I feel like this meta works pretty well for them. I know maybe not as much because there's not as much poke. That could be the only weakness for them specifically there, but I think there's a lot of potential, especially with Self on this roster. I am really excited to see how like he looks in this current meta, and I feel like that's going to be a difference maker.
Mike?
Okay, come with a Euro shill. I've got 100 Thieves in second and FlyQuest in first.
FlyQuest in first.
Wow, okay.
That's amazing. Is it just their upside, man? Like, what is...
I think this is the perfect patch for Tuzi. Psylocke and Human Torch both have a bit of an ascendancy here. Tuzi is fantastic at both of them. I think that Melio's got a great brain for the game that FlyQuest are really going to be able to use well here. And I think that Vesta's got a very strong Vanguard pool, which at the moment is something I think is a cornerstone of a well-oiled competitive machine. I think this team has all the ingredients they need to do very well in the preseason without putting too much like team building time in. So I think that they might be able to pull out some surprises and maybe have a little bit of EMEA duelist bullying go on.
Can I ask this, because I think you know this best? How much, and I think I'm going to get this right, but how much do you think Kin pulled weight-wise compared to Alex back on the team? I believe those are the two together, right? So, like, was Alex the more core strat, or was it Kin?
It depends on who you want to call the core strategist out of, the Loki versus the person who always orbits around the Loki. Like, Ken had an easier job through the year of just being able to mostly stick to the Loki because they remained meta throughout pretty much the entirety of 2025. But Ken, like, their main weakness, I'd say, is that Ken's not a great Jeff, which can be a little bit lacking. And I think that Jeff is going to be doing pretty well in this season with, like, ults being a little bit less common because, like, both of his team-ups are, like, micro ults in terms of sustainability, the toy box and the symbiotic shenanigans. So maybe Ken having a bad Jeff. Maybe, I don't know that much about Zelos. Is Zelos' Jeff that good? Could be that he picks that one up. I'd say that Ken is probably the more valuable pickup out of the two. But Alex also is, like, he's an old and mature guy. He's great at, like, keeping everything on the level when very, like, younger players around who could be a little bit more hot, like Polly.
Their strategist backline scares me a bit, especially with, we'll see where Zealous goes. But yeah, Shibb.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of those points are why I selected the teams I selected where I did, right? So coming up here in second for me, I've got NRG Shock. And I think that I think they're a team that does fit a lot of those more niche stuff, right? You talked about you want to have a good Vanguard pool. Well, they do have that on the side of looking at Window. Window's really good at Vanguard pool. Actually, he's played with him doing that character, and he's just really good on the hero. So it gives me some faith there. I played with Madara a bunch. I think Madara's incredible as a Vanguard lead in the front. Chime and Stinkers are both really strong players. I mean, across Velocity, I think is a very good comms lead. So I just think this team early on in preseason, at least, has the knowledge and being able to, like, understand the metas quickly. And I think people kind of get that as their downside of where they don't get it. I think they do understand it. It's just that they take a little bit to adapt, but once they get it, they're kind of locked in. I think Chuckles is also great. I mean, this whole team, man, has a bunch of talent. I'm just, I want to see how they play in game. And go time. So I'll see if I'm vastly different than you guys in terms of where they're placed in my list.
No, dude, I said it's sexy, but I want to see how hot, right? That was my whole, and Chuckles, by the way, a good Hulk player. So also see kind of where that goes. But listen, I got to say this, all right, because I want to go to Sentinels for Shibb and I to say our points, because obviously I think that's our biggest, like, okay, we could see where we have 3 and 4, 2 and 1. Listen, there are teams in sports where they have certain players that I just don't count them out. Like, there are just guys that have shown repetitive to be great in big moments. And I treat rivals sometimes as tennis, okay? So in tennis, this is a weird example. But if you got a guy with, like, a sexy serve and he does all, like, the flashy stuff. Like, dude, that guy will lose to the consistent player that just always gets the ball back. I feel like Sentinel is such a consistent team. I feel like they have so much consistency with the main three, Rymazing and Karopa. They were like, we're divorcing, we're going to go do our own thing. They ended up, essentially taking Dark Zero, and sent them home, right? And then Crimzo and the team dynamic are more, I just went into this, but I think that with more individuality, right? Because you have more and Crimzo together, which is a beautiful thing, but also in a team dynamic, it's an interesting thing. And I think now with how that will work out a bit, interesting. I think it was Legday that brought up the Vanguard question a little bit. I think I could see that. But Flamay is a baller, an absolute stud. I like Sentinels at 2. Shibb?
Yeah, I was going to my reasoning for them on 1. We talk about preseason stuff. Crimzo is a really good comms leader, and he's a Vanguard frontline leader. He also does the bans, and I think he does all that kind of with team help and knowledge and understanding. But he does that, and I've watched him do it. And I'm like, and I'd follow that kind of a leader in comms. I kind of like when somebody's really forcing things down your team as a throw. Like, we just get behind me and trust me on this. And he's got that kind of stuff, or he's got that, at least that kind of comm leadership early on. I think will be of big value. I also think Mantis is incredibly strong. Rymazing is a really good Mantis too. I think that's slept on a bit. We talked. Go ahead. You jump in.
Well, no, I agree with you. That's one of the things I want to pick about this team is I think Rymazing is the best possible 1B to have on a team. They need a true 1A, and they had that in. I think Nectar is an insane player. They had that in Nectar, right, guys? So they had that in Nectar. And you kind of need that for the other to shine, right? And so I feel like Rymazing has the Mantis. He's got, like, the Iron Man, right? Like Magic, all these interesting picks. But you do need a dominant player there. And so with Ushir he's solid, man. I think Ushir does some good things, but their pools kind of conflict a little bit too. So I don't know, man. That's where I have a little bit of my question marks.
I understand that. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I think a lot of it, especially early on until, and I do need to see their Elsa play. I think that's my big hang up where I'm putting them at the top to just change it up a little bit from everybody, but I do think they have the potential. I do think they have the potential to do it. But yeah, I think my biggest hang up on the team is the Elsa play because she's that strong in the meta right now, even after that change.
And to end it, listen, 100 Thieves, dude, I'm just going to be quick with it. Millennia and Delina were the two players that I thought grew the most from Ignite as players and individual talent and continue to grow in their flexibility and play. Millennia, I don't know why I'm calling that.
Yeah.
Millennia, his shark play was awesome towards the end of Atlanta too. So I'm like, okay, he can do a bit more shark in that with Jeff going up. And then Delina, I think, can truly be... Dude, it's almost like, again, I am a sports guy. When you have like a superstar on a team, like Terra, who was the superstar, man. He was like, obviously, it can almost like, it can sometimes hinder a team, sometimes in its own way, right? With communication, with morale, with...
We saw that with Na'Vi for a bit, especially during the Mega Monthly.
Okay, yeah. So what does this team look like without him? And I think Self might be that perfect addition to it. And so, man... them staying together and they're the least roster mania team. TTK, if there's like a grassroots tournament or like a creators cup, he wins. Like whoever drafts TTK wins the tournament.
Every time,
like, dude, it's like
Ogre Bash 2, J3 Community Clash, first in both of them.
Yep, but although Emma and it's funny, I say it like the guys are just not gonna pick up any Vanguard that comes out, but it's like Emma and Angela, he did like those are down a little bit. So like we'll see, I guess, with some rotations. How does Vinny flex? To me, I would be shocked. I would be shocked if they had a bad performance here.
Yeah, I mean, Winnie's like a really big pickup for this team too. I think like one of the best players from Final Dance in Europe that they could have ever gotten on their roster. So I think that's like a huge rounding out for this team in 100 Thieves and really only upgrades them in my opinion. So I think there's a lot of potential for this squad, but that's the same for like all these teams that are in Group A. Aside, unfortunately, from Cafe Rose, like anything can happen with these rankings. We could all be wrong based on like how this preseason is going to go. That's the craziness about it.
If Cafe Rose comes in 1, I'll eat Shibb's hat on the next episode. Like I'm just,
I'll cook it and I'll have half.
I'm just saying. And listen, dude, how many Techie XD? If you guys remember this team, we all shaded them and they got like they blew our minds. So you can do it, take it as confidence and go with it. I think for this next one, guys, we'll start with Vod, go Leg and Shibb. Give me your 6 through 1, and we'll go 6 through 1, 6 through 1, and then we'll talk teams individually. I think because how this shakes out.
This one's kind of tough for me because I'm like, okay, I know where my 1 and 2 are, which we'll just start with those. TLC, Team Liquid Citadel, got to go number 1 for that one. Yeah, not too surprising on that one. For current meta, Yeah, We Lost has to be second in my mind. Like, I can't see anyone else there right now. On the opposite end of the spectrum for 6, unfortunately, for Lunex, I got to put them down there. They're still a team that has to be proven, in my opinion. And then it gets interesting from here. I don't have enough data on Nightmare currently, so I got to put them in 5th, unfortunately for them. And then it's a little bit of a toss-up between SSG and TSM. I feel like SSG, they had a lot of roster troubles leading into this, and unfortunately, I think it was to the detriment of them as a roster, but I think they have the potential to lock in. I think this patch will work out pretty decently for them, so I'm going to put them 3rd and TSM 4th.
That was the most backwards ordering I've ever seen in my entire life. But also, I was like, wait, 6, 3, 5, 1. No, but good points. I like it. I'll comment more on it a bit. Leg, who do you got?
Yeah.
American education system I was counting right there. Number 1, TLC, for sure. This might be the best team in America. But we'll get into that later. Yeah, We Lost, going to be in 2nd for me. As with Vodible, I think that the meta, really good for them. Big Hulk play. SSG in 3rd for me. I'm a big Nectar believer. TSM come next. I think that this team could easily come 3rd, but they're at least going to make the cutoff because they've got so many consistent performers, followed by Nightmare and then Lunex.
Nice. Okay, Shibb.
TLC off the rip. Again, I'm with you. Potentially one of the best teams. A lot of superstars. Yeah, We Lost. Again, dive meta. We saw it. Fastest ever MRC championship, I believe, in all of Marvel Rivals. So that's something to keep in mind. That's just aura, and it's a lot of confidence. SSG after that, for me, again, good talent on the team. Haven't really seen how they played. For 4th and 5th is where it gets a little different. I changed it up on you a little bit, Coach. I think I'm putting Nightmare 4th because I've had some conversations. Again, they are a good dive team, and they have a lot of dive players, so this meta fits well with them. The only reason I don't put TSM there, and I've rotated back between the two of them, is a little bit of the tweet from, I believe, Guru, which it just kind of took confidence away from me, where essentially he didn't really have the most confidence. Yeah. He didn't really have the most confidence in his team. And I was like, ooh, because I love all the individual players. I played with and against all the individual players. I think they're all awesome and really good at the game. But that something with that, I was like, oh man, maybe they're struggling or there's something that's going on when that tweet came out. So I put him there at 5th and then to end with Lunex.
Oh, dude, I love this because we are different a little bit. I'm definitely the biggest TSM fan. I'll talk more on them and why I think it. So clearly TLC, guys, yeah, we can all just say it again. TLC, they have the most reps as a team, the most talent as a team, the best backline, the best in each position mainly. I think I was talking to Vodible. I was like, dude, if this team doesn't clean out on one, it'd be a shock. It would be a shock.
It would be.
But then my 2 was like, we saw this with, who was it? Ego Death beat, I forgot who it was. Oh, FlyQuest, who was the best team. And it was the same team, essentially. And Ego Death came out with this sexy die Panther. What are we doing? And it shocked them because they were so used to meta play. And who could do that to them is, yeah, we lost. So it's like, hold on now. Kind of interesting where that could happen. So we all agree on the 1-2. I think, yeah, we lost. I would say for them, I casted that game and watched them. This isn't like a new and upcoming group. It's a lot of pros that didn't get signed to other teams too that are coming together as a group. And they just like, man, this team is, dude, if you hear their comms, they're a wild bunch. Like they are.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, they were playing
the
like
soundboards and everything.
Dude, playing soundboards when they were wiping the team in the middle of the MRC. I mean, it was like absolutely wild. I mean, Legday can't even handle it. He got up and left because of how insane it was. But no, dude, it truly, I think, yeah, we lost. Here's the thing, though, that scares me. Because of the hot and flashy, they also could have like a what the hell banned out dead before. So like.
I mean, the problem too is like the most recent nerf really targets Jitward, especially because like the duelist pool that he likes to play. Like we saw a lot of nerfs targeted towards that with the hotfix, basically.
Yep.
That just was announced. So that makes me worry a little bit. But I mean, even with the nerfs that came out from Daredevil, there's still so many people playing Daredevil because he's just so solid, especially in this meta. So I'm not too worried about that specifically. I'm just more curious on how teams are going to ban against them, because before, when they were first looking to get into Ignite, you could just like target ban Jitward and then the team would fall apart. But now they got Cart, who's like one of the best Hulk players in the game right now in my mind. And you're going to have to focus on him. You're going to have to focus on Jitward. You're going to have to focus on all these really weird and unorthodox like compositions that they come out with. And I'm just excited to see them play at this level.
Yeah, listen. Oh, go ahead, Shibb. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just to kind of clear it up for people that might be confused about the change, when it comes to duelist pool, essentially what they did was they got rid of the animation cancel to make it so you were unbelievably quick in rotating that aerial dash down. You used to be able to essentially bunny hop and then use your dash and one of his other abilities at the same time. And if you do it properly, it's like an infinite immediate reset. So it's like impossible to handle. So they removed that, and that does definitely hurt duelist pool. I think that's definitely what made him so strong in the MRC. I'm with you on all these points. I think their team is incredibly awesome, and we make the reference to some of these dive teams in the past finding success. But the downside is teams learned what they like to do, and they countered.
That was my next point. Ego Death was like hot, right? It was like, oh my god, and then we all were fans of Ego Death just to see the death of Ego Death, right? Like they were immediately figured out. And they never, like, no one ever was worried about them again. So much so that the entire team.
They got poached too.
I mean, Self got poached. Sambal went to another team, and then it kind of just fell from there. Zatex obviously is good, and that's who's in this. But that's who that for me is like, I think preseason rankings could be cool, but we might have them lower, especially if grouping is different and how that looks. TSM, okay, listen, guys. I think
this is your hear me out. I got you.
Chill away.
Hold on. No, okay. So there's two things. These are my 2 points defending TSM. One, could they have drawn a better group? No. Like, if I'm going on who has experience at the top tier play and has shown me, listen, if you didn't watch the first Ignite Stage 1, Solaris was a team that easily could have qualified for land.
They got the worst draw ever. Oh my god.
And they still were winning. Like, and then they obviously they lost, right? And then they had a really bad stage 2. I mean, like, not a good stage 2. But I feel like the things they can fix is not crazy difficult. They have skill ceiling there. And for whatever reason, I know the tweet, but I feel like people like Guru and the stream team, that's what we've called them. I feel like now that they're signed to TSM, they weren't scrimming. I mean, they weren't doing anything before. They were just ripping games and kind of going in and doing some VOD review a little bit. I feel like that this might be enough, and with the talk and everyone thinking that they're not going to make it, I think it's enough, and I think the group helps them a lot. I do think the grouping helps them a ton. I would be shocked to think they don't qual, because when I measure them to the other teams, yeah, I'm not too crazy. But yeah, I mean, any points on TSM before we go to Nightmare and SSG?
I mean, the main point I have is going to be like, once we actually get to stage 1, and they released the official rule book recently in one of the posts on the Rivals Esports Twitter. Definitely recommend checking that out. Essentially, like half the teams get sent to that promo relegation, so it's going to get down to the wire for these squads, and that's why I worry a little bit as the season progresses for a team like TSM, for teams like SSG, where they got to really put up the numbers and like showcase that they are the best squads out there. Of course, because they're partner orgs, they don't have to worry too much about it, but performance, you want to keep that going, keep the skin sales going up there with the costumes and everything. And you might think like with these such storied organizations that the players are going to be feeling pressure from high up, maybe a little bit more than some of the other squads out there, right, to perform and have those results. And I worry about that a little bit for a team like this.
Cal's a good addition, though. It's interesting to see Cal flex back to their original role when they were in the Overwatch League. They did play as support, and now they've moved over to strategist. And while Cal's a very mechanically gifted player, it felt like his time kind of came and went as a duelist on Envy.
Yeah.
But I think that definitely has a good brain for the game, and could be a big boon to this roster, which is why I think that they are probably too skilled as individuals to not make it out of groups.
That's true.
Yeah, my final note before we head it back to you is, I just reiterating, this is probably the most up in the conversation for some of the most mechanically gifted hit scan and ranged players in the tournament. They all play a lot of that range style very well, and I think Luna's even getting a boost up for Cal in the back line. Obviously, Adam, he played a lot of Adam in Ignite in the past. It looked really good. Dude's disgusting. Big fan of Cal. He's always been a super cool guy every time I talk to him, too, at least to me. But I think the team is great. I like all the stream team as a whole. But again, I just want to see them in this meta. I think that's the only thing I've got to hang up on.
SSG, for me, guys, I feel like is the team I want to like the most, but it also feels like if I were to give these players like individual awards from last season, it was like, could be the most improved. And it's like almost feels like some of the bottom of some of these other rosters that came together, which could be cool. Could definitely ignite something. Like Doomed, like going all the way back to Shroud X, man. I remember Doomed was sleeping in until 5 minutes till his games, and then he would like roll in there and then dominate. But then like sometimes he won it and they flexed him out. Month is a guy who I think took a lot of heat on Envy, has gotten better as a player. But I need to see how he does. But then, but this is what I'm talking about. Then somehow they sign Nectar, who's just like cracked.
Yeah,
and like
that's
I'm like,
the big thing.
If Nectar was on this team, fellas, for me it would be it's already a 5 for me, but it would be an easy 5 for me. And so that's why I do some of these teams. I'm like, if someone just poached Nectar, like man, they okay. But listen, that's where I think SSG. I just don't have the belief yet, but they are a sleeper, kind of like Fly.
I mean, to talk about the like rules again, because there's just so many crazy things that like people haven't really been talking about much. So they have a transfer window right after preseason before stage 1, and you only have to keep 3 of your members on your main roster.
Oh, boy.
So we could easily see so many of these squads just completely blow up, like we saw during the off season, right between stages. And I feel like Space Station might be one of those teams where that could happen too.
Definitely on the table.
Does anyone know where the hell Techie went? Where the hell, like, obviously with
Someone
Nectar...
needs to sign that man. Like, that's all I'm saying.
He's not on a team, yeah.
Not on a team, yeah.
Okay.
Really good Vanguard.
That's crazy.
Sorry, I'm Techie. I mean, really, disgusting. Techie, I think, is probably... I actually saw him on Twitter saying something along the lines of, like, still want to prove I'm one of the best Vanguards, and I'm like, he's got to be signed after this. And then looking at all these rosters again, I'm just like, damn, I can't believe it.
And then Nightmare, I think we talked about, it's like Mace's group, right? Like, let's see what this looks like all together.
Yeah.
And not to call it Mace's team, but just like I see Mace on there with Light. Like, it's almost like if they make it to land, like, dude, let's go get drinks at the bar with this team. Like, I like these guys are great guys, but like, can you make it to land? That's what I want to see. And I put them at 4 too. I think so Shibb and I have them at 4. You guys have them both at 5. That was a big cutoff. Obviously, you guys are bigger on SSG. And then Lunex, if they had a stronger MRC, I mean, dude,
I mean, this is a team that like got into Ignite, and then I feel like they had like kind of one of the easier pathways into it as well on their side, in comparison. And then we lost, just kind of like dominated the other end, right? So Lunex, they're better than Cafe Rose in my opinion, based on what we saw gameplay wise. But aside from that, it's not really too much to write home about, unfortunately, for their squad. So they're kind of like any result aside from 6, I think is a good boon for them, and maybe they're going to be a squad to like look forward to pick up some upcoming talent in between, you know, the transfer window, depending on how they perform. But yeah, I think like this is a squad who's happy to be here and looking for as much experience they can absorb from the other teams, and then we'll see how they adjust into actual stage 1.
Before we go to EMEA, I want everybody to shout out just one player to keep your eye on in the America scene. We'll start with Leg.
Oh, you know what, Spark Chief? Like Spark Chief is already a known quantity, but Hulk is rising right now. Like Angela's in retrograde, Hulk is rising, and I think that Spark Chief has got a nasty Hulk on his hands that could be an even bigger asset for a team like Liquid Citadel.
Okay,
I'm also going like Liquid Citadel on this one, Cozy, unfortunately, because I honestly think this is like the best team in America for a reason. I got to go Cooper on this one, specifically because the play and like the shot calling we saw from them when they were on Doom Crew, like taking out their old roster, making sure that they could get the victory in MRC, and then like leading the team as well as they did. And we saw how good they did during the Mega Monthly as well. On that race car roster. I mean, they were just decimating teams. It wasn't even close until that last series, of course, the 3-2 that we saw against Lunex, which is now the Sentinels roster that we talk about. So like this team has all the right pieces, especially for this meta. So like Cooper really just like elevates that as well with the shot calling and keeps their head like in line with what they need to do with the game. So really expect some good like kind of strategy coming from that.
Shibb, do you remember at Jay's house when we were doing his tournament that Cooper was on his team?
I was just going to bring this up.
Yeah, the dude just like did all the shot calling, like every research, every second of it.
Every ban, every pick, everything. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they won. They won.
Exactly. Yeah. So who would be your player to shout out?
See, I'm gonna think of something different. I was gonna go actually Cooper, I think. Change it up for a Vanguard front. It's kind of like 2, but I guess I'll go with either Crimzo or Poly. Crimzo for the fact that he can run Cap incredibly well, which does have a space in the meta right now, and I think Groot, which he's known to be storied on both of those heroes, and both of those heroes are a little more niche, but are really strong. Maybe not Groot as much in terms of niche, but yeah, just a really good leader and does the Vanguard role really well.
Yeah, so for me, instead of picking who I think would be like the best players, because there's definitely like, I could pick like best at each role for me. Mine is like, watch how this guy, I'm going to pick 2, I guess, as well as like pivotal roles, okay? This is a crazy pick, but I'm going to go Dongmin for Sentinels. How he plays could define if this team's good or not, because he has a lot to prove to me as someone who's watched almost every game this guy's played in.
I can see that.
I need to, like, for me, going to Techie, like, why is Techie not there? I want to see this guy rise up. And I seen him get angry and been like, I can be here. That's a big, like, what? Like, why am I picking him? But it's for that reason with a team that should be good. And the other is Self, because, oh my God, are you filling some shoes, buddy?
I can't wait to see Self.
I mean, Black Panther, call me crazy. I don't think he's back, but I think he's at least sexy enough to slip in there every now and then. And what else can he offer, right? He was like a good torch and stuff. But what
Hawkeye for a little bit too.
Dude, he can play anyone. That guy was nasty, right? Yeah. So I Self in the shoes, like those two are like the shoes they're filling is what I'm so curious about in their team and why I picked them. But I'm gonna go ahead and have Legday carry us a bit here for just a quick like one-offs on the EMEA team before we go in, and we'll probably do the predictions the same. This helps nobody, by the way, in the middle, because all of ours could not be. Good luck picking the average, I guess. But Legday, go ahead and break down the EMEA quickly if you had a line or so about each team.
All right, let's open up with Na'Vi, the first team to do the rare reverse poach from North America and to bring Terra over to EMEA from his previous prestige position, a throne with 100 thieves. There must be a lot of belief in this team from Terra to make not only that journey, but also to leave behind that position. Like you said, huge shoes that need to be filled. So Na'Vi's definitely going to be a huge team to watch. They came second at World Finals. They won the mid-season. This is a team with unbelievable amounts of talent on it. Next up, Team Heretics. This is essentially the team that was formed when America took our shit.
That's what we do, baby.
Like, Chopped and Citadel were torn apart at the seams, and the bacteria that were left, they coalesced back together into a eukaryotic organism, and this is what it is. This is a team that has an unbelievable potential in terms of dive. If this team can figure out their calling, find a leader like a Poly that we had on Citadel, then this is a team that could definitely be an absolute machine and decimate backlines in record time. Virtus Pro don't really need that much introduction. No change made from winning the World Finals. They've also been in hibernation. This is a team that seems to really value the personal well-being of their squad members. They're also the oldest team in EMEA. After they won World Finals, everyone went off on holiday. They just stopped playing for a while, I guess. They've been scrimming away in the background, but they didn't do any tournaments, didn't do any MRCs, didn't do it much in the way of the Content Creator Cups either. So at the moment, they're just waking up. They're going to crawl out of their cave, and we'll see what they've been cooking in the winter. Next up, Fire Strays. This is a team where my Hulk stock buying is really coming up clutch, because Binary, I think, is the best Hulk in Europe if I had to individually give it to someone. It hasn't had a huge amount of success on previous teams, but I think that Binary was always a standout on some of those lower tier, like, 8th through 12th kind of positions in Ignite. This has the old All Business backline, Closer and Znost, who are excellent together. And Black So, former, I believe, world champion in Fortnite. We're going to have to see where he goes in like a post-group kind of landscape. That's going to be a big question to watch out for.
Awesome. What about Pulsar Esports and some of these other Shikigami recent gaming?
You want those or me?
Yeah, Bob, you can do a few there.
I can do those ones. So yeah, like Shikigami, I think is the team to look out for in EMEA right now as kind of like the up and comers. That used to be the Cooking with Kaya roster. They got signed. They were doing really well in like the MRCs and the off-season events, like leading up to the potential Ignite, and then got picked up by Shikigami as they moved from NA into an EU guest slot, which is pretty great to see them still get involved in some way. Got to see like the OG style there, but I think the big thing for them is like them, Heretics, and Navi are like the big three, you could say, for their side of the group, and then like VP is like at the top of the poll itself in EMEA. Aside from that, on the side for Pulsar, I think this is a team that's got potential. Unfortunately, they have a lot to prove. Like they're kind of closer to what you'd say in America is for like the Lunex and the Cafe Rose. They didn't qualify through MRC. They were already a guest slot team, but I think unfortunately for their roster, they just have a lot to work towards if they want to prove themselves as a contender for the group stages. So Sapatic's been pretty solid. Kizaru we have on there, Treeman, Lapsis as well. I think a lot of these players we've seen in some great rosters before, but they're kind of like the scraps, you could say, for this roster here. Peps is kind of a similar style too, right? Like Frankie Boxing we used to see on Dusty, MOK, Baby Bat, Protoss, Six, and Pink. I mean, these players have been around the scene for quite some time, even the invitationals, but they're also a squad that's relatively unknown how they'll feel together as a team. So kind of look out for that one. Alter Zenith, that team specifically, I have some good hopes for. I mean, they recently picked up Z-Cube from Americas to fill out the roster slot. Unfortunately, Rosa did get booted from their team, but found their own way onto Crownfall, which was another MRC team. And Ultra Esports, they definitely had the easiest of routes into Ignite. Did not have to worry about Rad or Lunex, and had all the other teams do their dirty work, so they have a lot to prove for their squad. But I definitely look out for them. I mean, Team Captain has been destroying the tournament circuit for the content creator side of things for a while as well, so expect big things from them. And then on the other end of things, like Crownfall specifically, I think they're currently the best Saudi Arabia team, primarily in Ignite right now. Unfortunately for Team Vision on that same end, they used to be called the Lions, as they got picked up. They still haven't announced their roster, by the way, but it's in game, so I'm saying it. But they lost like 3 of their best players because of age limits. So very similar to Cafe Rose, unfortunately for them, they lost such good like looks for their team that really held them together and was the reason why they did so well in the previous MRCs, and now kind of a shell of their former selves. And Rad's just good. I mean,
yeah.
Like, that's all you really got to say. Rad should be one of those top teams to look out for in EMEA.
Awesome,
red
man.
definitely one we want to look at.
Well, listen, I think it's interesting how America and EMEA is kind of similar in some of the MRC stuff. And so let's do the same. We'll go 6-1 real quick and then kind of just talk about them all briefly, from there, going maybe top to bottom or whatever. So you can give a small explanation or just list it off. I think might be even easier. Vaughn, if you want to go to start on your 6 for Group A.
I mean, do you want me to do it for both groups? I feel like this one's kind of easy for me on this end, unfortunately. Pulsar for sure on Group A, though, for just sticking with the one. Again, this team has a lot to prove. I would say if they were an MRC, I mean, against the competition that was in there, I think they would have struggled to qualify, unfortunately. So they hopefully will be able to turn things around. I haven't gotten a chance to see much of their scrims, but from what I've heard, from like the Shikigamis, the Heretics, the Navis, like a lot of the top teams are not scrimming them because of the quality of the roster in terms of like the different tiers, right, that they already are in Ignite. So they have their work cut out for them, is what I'll say.
Okay, 5. Go up 5-1.
Yeah, I got you. For 5, I got to go Peps. Like I was saying, this is another team that still has a lot to prove, a little bit better on that end in comparison to Pulsar. So I'm expecting some good looks from them. They have a lot of great support, of course, from the French fan base, and I can't wait to see that showing up for them. And I hope that they prove me wrong in this one. But on the other side of things, I have Alter Zenith as my number 4 for this one. I have a lot of hope for this team. I've seen a lot of great looks from Z-Cube as well, so I think that's a good addition to the roster. Honestly, could have seen them pushing more if they still had Rose on the roster, but I feel like the hero pool works a little bit better with Z-Cube with the Hulk play that we saw before. So might see some good meta play from them specifically. I mean, Team Captain America, see them play that all the time, right? So looks really solid on dive for that squad as well. And then 3-2-1 for me specifically is Shikigami, Heretics, and Navi is how I have these 3. And honestly, you could throw these 3 into a hat and pull one out, and that will be who would be first, second, and third, because Navi, I don't think are like the kings of their group currently, especially based off of the kind of like weaknesses that we saw from the Mega Monthly, from some of the scrims, from what I've heard. I still expect them to be that top team, but I feel like they're going to have some personality clashes like we saw with Terra and Trust Me being that, main leading voice for the team. And Terra, we got Texas Terra as a personality, as people like to call him sometimes. And I feel like as long as they can rein that in and listen to the leadership of Trust Me, they will be that top team. But if they, struggle and they aren't feeling as confident in some of the comps, and then Terra just swaps to Wolverine and runs it down, that's why I worry a little bit about this team. So, and then Heretics, I think, from what I've heard directly from Shikigami, they just haven't figured out the team yet, so I can't put Shiki over Heretics right now.
Okay, Leg?
Mine is basically exactly the same. Pulsar, Peps, Alter, Shiki, Team Heretics, and then Na'Vi. I share the reticence about the clash of personalities on Na'Vi. I don't know if you guys got to sit in on too many of the Na'Vi scrims in Guangzhou or in Atlanta. Very few other people talk. It is the mastermind, Trust Me, who is laying down the plans. And Terra, I feel like Terra's the kind of person who does not get on well with being ordered around wholesale. And in Na'Vi, when it's in game, what Trust Me says goes, and that might become an issue.
Shibb.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I banked on a lot of my information, insider stuff from you guys, because I don't have as much experience with scrims with this over the pond. I recognize a lot of names, so that's pretty much where I based my list on. I don't think I changed in literally anything. If I just double check here, no, from you guys. But I will say a couple call outs, right? We've seen Cooking with Kaya, a good team, right? So now they're over in Shikigami. I want to see how they perform. It really does play differently. Rivals plays differently in the EU than it does in NA. We sometimes we like to mirror more. We like more poke. We typically historically. I want to see what they look like as a team and if they might bode better for them. And then maybe we move them around a little bit. Na'Vi, I think it's a great call out. And one of the reasons I didn't put 100 of these at the top is losing Terra, who was a comms leader, much like Trust Me, is very much going to shake the team up. And I don't know who is that new lead for their team because they're not typically the most outspoken individuals across the board. But I think Na'Vi, although they have the talent, they might clash a little bit. So maybe that will cause a problem. But there's just so much talent on that team.
Exactly.
So I got to keep them up there.
Dude, okay, so I'll never forget. I don't even know what I hate what I'm allowed to say or whatever. But I was on stage with Trust Me at the grand finals, and I was like, talk to me about, because I know him as a guy very well at this point. I feel like, and I'm like, how'd you guys get back here? You know, like after winning mid-season, like who is this team? And he's like, I'm going to be honest. This has got to be one of the worst teams to ever. If you don't have every ounce of you addicted to winning and the passion and competitiveness, like the team's not for you. And I think we saw a little bit of that happen. Obviously, Melio went over to Citadel and that happened there a bit. But like, trust me, you guys said he's a leader in every sense of the word. I don't think though there's a player in this tournament. I mean, okay, there's some VP guys, but trust me, he's probably top 3 for me of someone I put my trust in as just the dude's a winner. Him and his squad, they're winners.
Same for Rajaro.
Yeah, the whole Na'Vi won for a reason, and they got all the way to second, even though they didn't look great in some ways getting up there for a reason. Fate would they have what you need to win. To your point, I've watched like Creator Cups and and Terra gets drafted, and then the team with Terra gets out first. It's like, how is that possible? Terra's so amazing, but you are right. Terra does have to kind of get along with who he's going with, and there could not be a more polar opposite people. However, talent-wise, I think they are right there with VP. Talent, pure raw skill, and what Terra shows up is going to matter. But man, if they can lock it in, dude, I think Navi's going to be damn near undefeatable in a lot of ways. But yeah. We'll see how that comes together. Heretics, though, to y'all's point, I think the dive is very it's sexy with them. Like they're almost not like, yeah, we lost, but more clean, I think. But they definitely they can do something.
I'm so hyped for Tanuki.
Yeah, Tanuki's dive, right? Deadpool, or Daredevil, and also, I mean, he's seen him on weird stuff. He's even played Jeff, right? Like Panther, and he's played pretty much everything at the very top. So dude's definitely got a lot of talent.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously Enzo, I think doesn't get talked about enough. I think Enzo has can really have some. Yeah, dude, he just clutch plays, man. The guy's clutch as well. When it comes to the others, First of all, Alter, man, yeah, team captain, bro. This guy, like, he's just fun to watch. Like, he's just, I love team captain, man. Like going back to week 1 of Rivals, ever coming out, I did like a Wolverine interview with him, and like even there, he was just like, to watch him like blossom as a personality has been a lot of fun. He always takes, I think, the ice skating uphill path, and I don't know how much you can do that in pro play, right? Like, I'm going to make this work, I'm going to make that work, but, he's showing it. And then for the other 2 guys, I'm going to be honest, yeah, just like Shibb, I went with, like, it's the MRC, the Wild West, Pulsar. Yeah. I think that's the only flip I have. To me, it's like, it's funny because you guys know this. When Ignite teams can't play in the MRC, you'll see these teams in there, and you're like, damn, okay, they're pretty good. And then you're like, for T2 play, right? So it's just to see how they do in T1 is where it matters for me. Any other comments from you guys?
No, I think pretty cut and dry for Group A for the most part on this one. Like maybe we'll see some changes with Alter, Pulsar, and Peps, but the top 3 is the big 3 for Group A for a reason, and we could see some change ups, but that's typically how like most people are kind of ranking these.
Yeah, just expanding on your MRC comment as well. I feel like we're all putting like the MRC winner teams like above partner teams, but that's just because there's not that much info on the partner teams. Like there are some names we know that have been drafted along, but we haven't seen them play together yet. So like a lot more stock is in like the small amount of evidence that we do have, but we're gripping tightly on.
We've seen this, and they look good.
Begins. Yeah, they look competent, and that's what I'm gonna cling on to.
The last, I guess the last 2 points I'll say before we go to the next group is for just Na'Vi. I've been talking about them a lot, but I'll just say I think they have the strongest backline. No question. I think level 1 Crook is when Gambit and Co came out, and now Whitefall. I don't think I'm more excited to watch a player perfect these guys than him. And so because like Fate, we know what he's gonna do, and I just love watching Crook play the game. And then on the other side, man, Jerky was like the legend that rose like at Atlanta. He was a Psylocke one trick almost, like pretty much at that point. I'm not saying size bad. She's definitely not top tier anymore. So it is the neutral play. We'll see. She's getting there. But how's Jerky evolved as a player is what I need to know.
I think Jerky's going to at least get some value from like forcing a side ban. Like I think that one thing that's going to be quite prevalent in early season at the moment is that while Psylocke's ultimate has got a nerf, her neutral's really good now with the cooldowns going down substantially every time she hits some of those wing shurikens or the sonic crossbow. And having a player who's got a really good Psylocke that demands a ban like Jerky, like Sparker, or like say Nectar over in North America, that could give a distinct advantage if it's an early draft ban that could allow for like an Elsa to come through as a protect, or we might even see Solid Protects early if Gambit gets banned out. I think that it's going to be an integral part of the ban meta, and having someone who can like elucidate that pressure of saying you've got to take the Solid off our hands could be a huge boon for some of these teams.
I couldn't agree more. And on that same token, one thing that I think is also worth addressing is now in the current meta, things like Mantis, although Mantis has always been incredibly strong, and Jeff, if you have a player like Crook, if you have Fate, similar story, I mean, that we could list off some of the strongest Mantises across the board. If you are that good at Mantis, it becomes an immediate ban, and that changes things up too. I think Mantis comps now are farming ultimates much faster, and they're really pocketing some of the strongest duelists in the game. But with the more neutral, there's just ever more prevalence on that character, and that is another one of those like that could change the whole banning structure of your team.
And I know it's only been a week, but what I'm telling, and you guys, I mean, obviously, like the player in me was excited, the caster in me was like crying in the neutral changes, and like some are more drastic than others. I can't wait to see the full rotations, right? So like Psylocke, ult, like what is that value it gets now because of, as these strategist players, RIP, they've got to really decide what they're pressing Q on, how they all get in the bubble as cloak, whatever it might be, using their, the regular abilities that are pretty much mini ults. Like how do they utilize these core abilities? And with the dive season, trying to get those abilities to be pulled out, I think it's going to just be a very interesting ult rotation that we've all kind of, man, I'm going to be honest, it became
a skill check for everyone.
Yeah, I knew what was happening. I mean, you guys watch it. It's like, what's about to happen in these team fights. It's like this, I think, will change. And trust me, it won't be figured out by preseason. I could guarantee you that. I think it's just going to be evolving as we watch it. And dude, who knows? Maybe they decide, hey, 20% was cool. That was our first turn of the dial. Let's do 10 more percent. Let's just see what.
That's what a lot of people are hoping for. Yeah, like a little bit more.
I'd be cool with 10 more.
I'd be pumped for 10 more, dude. People are like season 7, same thing, and everyone's like, holy shit, it's a different game now, right? So it is. It'll be interesting. But okay, Group B. Let's start with Leg, then we'll go Vod to Shibb to myself. Leg, Group B. Who do you got?
All right, I've got Vision in last at number 6, followed by Reason Gaming. I think the Reason does have a good chance of maybe making it up into 4th over my pick Crownfall, because they've got they got a good dive on them, and Crownfall are trying to get along with a brand new Vanguard they've imported from North America. Next up is Rad. This is the top 2 here, like Rad and Fire, I think could definitely trade places with each other as well. They're both incredibly skilled rosters. And in first, of course, are the reigning world champions, Virtus Pro. They might actually have a weaker start to their season if I had to bet, just because they've been in hibernation for so long, and they've been, they've been prioritizing not burning out on the game. So they may have missed a couple of ticks in terms of the evolution of the meta. But I think that this team just has the raw skill to always be able to bully their way to the top if need be.
Vod?
So mine's like pretty much the exact same here as well with Legday. And like I was saying, we kind of like talked a little bit ahead of time about this specifically. Reason has potential. I wouldn't say specifically now for the group stage itself, but stage 1, based off of what we could see for them, is that they have some roster changes that happen. I can't talk too much about them because they haven't officially announced it yet. It'll be in the game, I'm assuming, whenever the new update drops on Thursday. But they have, if they can lock in with these new players, they are going to be a top contender, in my opinion. So I think that's the big thing to look out for Reason, is say, okay, you could see them move up like 1 or 2 spots potentially based on the players that they're picking up. But that's a big question mark because they're still trying to solidify their main starting roster right now is the thing to know. So I can't put them higher than 5 because if you don't have your main starting roster locked in like a day or 2 before, it's kind of hard to like verify that they're going to be that top team. But just look out. They should upset some teams just based off of the unexpectedness of who they signed. So that's the big thing I can say on this. The rest, exactly what Legday said. I mean, Crownfall are the best Saudi Arabia team primarily right now. Vision got nerfed because they lost 3 of their young guns on their side. I honestly am tempted to swap Rad and Fire personally, just to mix it up a little bit. But
that's what I did.
That's what I did too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that if you want to change it on mine here as well. Yeah. I just have so much faith in this Rad roster. Like, they were a team and an org that I was actually kind of surprised to not see have a guest slot, but whoever knows the reason for that. But they are very confident to make it in, and they look dominant in their run through MRC. So I think they have very much potential to be like that second or third for their squad, and actually like maybe be one of those teams to take a map off of VP. But I don't know how many teams will be able to do that this season.
Shibb, how does your 4 through 6 shake out?
After that, I got Crownfall, and then I went Reason. And yeah, I mean, I'm with you in Vision, sorry. And then yeah, I'm with you pretty much across the board. I think Rad, I'm recency biased with Rad. I think they look good, so I'm putting them there in second for me. VP, my most experience out of all of the region, watching them play. We could talk about, you know, you talked about backline being great, right? We could talk about VP also in that conversation. Unbelievable. But yeah, also with the duels, literally everything, right? They are the reigning world champs right now. This team is super confident. There is, you know, we see on every single one of our lists at the very top, this team is likely still in the conversation, if not with a little bit of a +1 to be the best team in the world.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm close to you guys. I will, elephant in the room, I didn't know about the roster drops on Vision over there.
Yeah, it's so unfortunate.
Yeah.
They lost like 3 of their starting players like headed into it because of the age limits, so.
That'd be a bummer for sure. I had them at 4, and honestly, I think 4 through 6 is a bit of a roll in the dice anyway. So I'm not too,
100%.
I'm not too, freaked out by where that's gonna be placed. VP is like, you guys ever watch the Jason Bourne movies? Like, just the most cold, calculate. Like, dude, these guys, outside of winning the entire thing, leg in person, bro. Like, dude, these guys, they don't have emotion. They don't have any emotion.
They just went to sleep afterwards.
They have no emotion. They win. They qual for grand finals, and they're like. And I'm like, what?
They're very European, I'll give you that.
Like, I remember that my headset, they're like, see if you can get any emotion out of Sparker. I'm like, you get your ass up here. You get up here. You try to, and you know what? When Sparker kind of trash talk, trust me up there, like that was like big for Sparker, and I love that. Cool. I was like, it kind of evolved him as, some of the personality and stuff, but like the dudes ago, obviously, like they missed midseason. Like proving anything can happen, but also proving if they take time off, I don't know how much it matters. And also they're like, of course they like don't play in anything because like I think they take it so serious that they don't want to like.
They don't want to give the strats away too. I think it's the big thing. I mean, they scrimmed only NA teams for like so many months because they didn't want to give the EMEA rosters like any ammunition to use against them, and it worked out so well. So
they're crazy. I mean, they're quite literally crazy. And I think Saipei somehow has even evolved more as a player. Like
Rank Demon.
Rank Demon, but also like putting himself in these like creative terms and his personality. Like, it's funny, guys. I think there's a lot of there's a lot of mental behind the scenes sometimes. And like when you become a content creator more, like Saipei is, right? Like it almost has you be more vocal, which then in team comps maybe has you stand up a bit more and maybe a decision. Like this kind of stuff can evolve you as a player as well. But yeah, dude, I think VP. I'll never doubt them again, dude. I mean, I'm blown away. I will not be shocked, like you said, Legday, if they drop some games. I won't be shocked at all. But definitely, I think they're the crown favorite. And then for the rest, yeah, I think what you said about Binary, I think has the chance to get that team. Like, as a player, very interested, like in the talent level there. Rad is kind of my we lost, like taking the emotion. Like,
yeah, exactly.
It's the same thing there. But yeah, I think it's how it shakes out a bit more, less of a. I think you have way more new players. I mean, America at least you had like the same guys. I think 100%. There's a lot of new players, man, in the EMEA. No.
I mean, a lot of our slots opened up because you guys stole our talent.
Hey, it's what we do best. We take things and then they're French fries.
We need some good players over here in North America. Let's go get them from Europe, bro.
Hey, the number one food in America is a hamburger, and yes, we created it. Is what we like to say. Okay, so fair enough.
I watched an interview and they were like, "What's the most American food you can list?" And the guy was like, French fries. I was like, oh my god, that's the most American shit I've ever heard. Oh,
most American player, who is it? Melio, probably. Yeah, we'll go with Melio for sure. Oh man. So any other last notes of the EMEA team? Maybe we'll go around and get a player to highlight.
Well, mine was Binary. I think it stays. It's either Binary or Beetle over on Heretics. I think these are 2 players who are like under-purchased stocks when it comes to dive. It remains whether the rest of the team are going to listen to them when they go in. I think that's what's really going to determine whether these rosters are Thanos or maybe an Ant-Man Quantumania level protagonist.
Shibb?
Yeah, Vod.
Okay, I think my big one's going to be Fate. I think we're going to see a lot of interesting White Fox tech from them specifically. Originally, when I saw them play them for the first time, they were like, man, this heroes trash and all this other stuff, and then they have become the gospel spreader of White Fox. I mean, immediately quote retweeted whenever the newest patch notes dropped. It's like, yes, we needed these changes. They're going to make it even more busted. We won, and all this stuff. So it's like, Fate was the one to innovate the most on Jeff, right? We saw the tech be used to take down VP, and I just can't wait to see what kind of playstyle we see from them with White Fox that you'll eventually see in like the higher level ranked plays, because they learn, oh, this is what I can do with this hero. So it's going to be great.
I was going to go with, again, kind of like a compliment to goated players. And like, for me, it's like Dreedro and Fi a little bit. I think Dreedro, his Shark he's a great complement strategist. I know what Saipei is going to bring. And I think Dreedro, I've seen different play from him, and that'll definitely be interesting. But yeah, I guess I'm pivoting completely. You know what? I'm going to go with Trust Me. I just want to see if that guy truly can carry his team. I'm doing it. What do you got, Shibb?
American answer. Check out Terra. No, I'm just saying, no. I was gonna say the cerebral players. I love Saipei. I love Trust Me. I think when they're doing weird stuff, it's on the back of what they're thinking. So I would say shout out to those two players. Keep your eyes on those teams.
And listen, guys, as it comes to the scene here of Oceania and China, we definitely have a lot in the mix here. We'll be a bit quicker here, but again, as this evolves, we'll continue. I didn't want to leave anybody out. Vod, we're gonna put you to a speed test here a bit on. Okay. You don't have to go into breaking down every team by any sense. In fact, we can just kind of go into what we've heard, and we'll throw it up there as we go. But if you want to just kind of give us some hot notes on these two regions.
Yeah, so for Pacific specifically, I think what you need to look at, Gen G, that's the best team in the region right now. That was Chopper Mag. They placed, so well at the grand finals and didn't really make too many changes in the offseason. So expect them to be like the team to look out for in OCE specifically. And Reject on the other side. Reject was the Crazy Raccoon roster that we saw in MRC Season 5. They almost took down Chopper Mag in 5 maps to try and get them down before they went to the finals. So they're going to be kind of like the two titans of the Pacific region there specifically. Other teams to kind of look out for, Chiefs is another great squad. Had some players from the former Vulcan Red roster. They formed a fully OCE team where we've seen a lot of imports across the region for OCE. And then on the other side for Asia, another roster I'd say to look out for is XOXO. I mean, that I was talking to Dan earlier just to get some insight on it. They're basically the YWL of Asia. So they're going to be playing all the dive all the time. If you like that play style, definitely look at this roster. And I'm kind of expecting them to pop off big. And then on the side of China, unfortunately, I don't have as much information. I've kind of relied on more auxiliary, references for rankings and everything. But OUG #1 as always. And then, aside from that, we see Iconics. They've been around for such a long time as a roster and an organization in Marvel Rivals. They're another great team to look out for. I want to give a big shout out to FL Esports or Fiat Lux because they picked up Dan FES, one of the South American coaches for their side of things too. So big shout out to that squad. I'm kind of a fan favorite too. And I also just want to shout out the logos of Black Cat and Team Rose, I believe, or Team Rise, excuse me, that we have 2 different cat logos. If you like cats, hey, those might be your teams to vote for in your predictions is all I got to say.
Dude, hey, thank you. Appreciate the breakdown. I mean, obviously, guys, we're forecasters, and we literally go, there's not enough hours to watch every single team play. And I think it's one of the cool things about LAN is you have these stories come in. Yeah, if I were just to highlight a couple, for me, obviously, Gen G is like always the team that I've got to just say I have the confidence in there. But also, man, I feel like Mulan Ron, man, that with OUG, that team is just they could be crazy as well. And he and many players say is the best Iron Man player in the world, no question about it. And guess who? Just got himself a nice little buff here. So
looks pretty good. We'll have to see if he can do. The guy goes off as Iron Man. So yeah, those would be the 2 teams if I were going to pick like 2 out of the region. And also Reject. I mean, they proved with Gargoyle and all them shit, but like, dude, they proved it in Atlanta. They're solid.
And Finale, Finale's a substitute now, which is crazy to me. So that just proves to me that they have a ton of talent there. But yeah, I mean, just on the back of what you're saying, Gargoyle, Lastro, Piggy, Shunhoon, all names that looked really good. Again, I just think it's they haven't had as much scrim time against the best talent. And I think the more that these teams play in the correct metas, the better they're going to be.
Who the hell got J-Mac? Where's he at?
I think he's coaching Reject.
Yeah, he's the coach for
He's a
Reject.
coach, dude. He was such a good player. That guy was insane. I loved watching him.
There's a, I think he had a code name in Overwatch of Mr. 5K Words when he first moved into coaching after playing for London Spitfire as a main tank. He used to coach an English team who didn't speak any Korean, so he'd send like each player like a 5,000 word essay which had been pushed through Google Translate. As, like,
Oh my
notes on their
goodness.
performance.
That's great.
Dude, that's
My bro is a
awesome.
very hard worker when it comes to this roster. One roster I want to hype up a little bit out of MRC. Pirates are looking super good. They looked really consistent in MRC. I'm excited to see how they go up against some of the more established rosters here in Asia, because it feels like Asia's kind of the Wild West when it comes to who's ascendant at any given time. Oceania seems a little bit more cut and dry. Reject, Zero Tenacity, and Pirates would be my favorites for the Asia series. There.
Yeah, Zero
Rival
Tenacity.
Esports, gotta give a quick shout out to them as well. They have a lot of like Ignite talent from different teams of around like the top 6 to like 4-ish rosters. So they'll definitely make it out of the group stage, but they're a team to look out for. Unfortunately for a lot of the MRC teams, they kind of had like roster implosions in some way in Pacific. So especially in Asia. So Loyalty, we saw a lot of changes. N1 Hex, we saw a lot of changes. Triple AD, they had one change. Unfortunately, I think it nerfed them a little bit as well. So more towards the higher end, like Reject, Rivals, XOXO, Zero Tenacity, and One Piece are like the ones to look out for.
Yeah, Zero Tenacity has some studs over there. What, Shibb?
No, just another team just to touch on, which I think we talked a bit about Gen G, but I think it's worth diving into, right? Bobo.
Yeah.
Bobo's now with Gen G, Duep, FMCL, Salvation, Skittles. Did anyone, this is a question I have for you guys I haven't caught up on. When I talked to Skittles at Worlds, he mentioned he's getting off the controller and going to MKB. Did that switch?
He has been
officially?
practicing that, yeah. I don't know if he's like fully swapped over yet, but I do know he's been practicing on it, so we could expect to see that.
What the hell did FMCL change his name to in Atlanta? Now we're back to FMCL.
Wasn't it like
he was Pethig.
Pethig, and it was like something pig or something around that.
I can't wait for this to change for the 5th time. Yeah, no, it's gonna we're gonna get our 10th name.
FMCL is an acronym for the knowers out there.
He does run weird stuff too. He was running Blade at one point, right? So in Blade, you know, there's more. At least the combination with Groot is actually going to be a big problem now at the very top. I mean, at least that combination. I'm not sure how he's going to look as a Vanguard Buster, but his team's not afraid of that more unique stuff. So I'm definitely looking forward to watching him.
Well, that was a gauntlet, guys. I mean, obviously, I wanted to touch through like most of the teams. I think on future episodes, like at least we have baselines on the teams, and we don't have to, you know, go through each of them. Literally, we could have talked for, hours on them, and I think that's what is great about it. But I think it's even more fun once we have a bit more of a taste on kind of what it is to come. I guess to close out for each of you guys, I'm gonna ask you a question. Let's go Leg, Shibb, then Vod, and I'll end on it. What's one thing you want to see the most out of Rivals Esports this year?
Ooh. Oh, me first.
I love I did you first again on purpose. Just if anyone has their answer, they can go.
Under the bus.
I'm looking at all of it on my screen right now. Like, I want to see this actively updated. Okay, you know what? Because I'm very happy with the bundles we've got and the in-game engagement we got. I want to see Christy Constanza at LAN.
I love it.
Hey, if Robert Downey
Jr.
If Robert Downey Jr. is not the host instead of me, I'm gonna be pissed, dude. I'm gonna be like, what are we doing around here?
It's gonna be a mask at first, yeah.
I'll tell you what.
New mask, additional task. Yeah, one more task. But no, for my thing, I want to see. There's a couple things. One, shout out to the esports app, like you'd mentioned. I think I would personally love if Rivals and an esports they collab to the point where the live stream was on the very homepage when you walk in. Because I think if people get their eyes on the pro scene,
please.
I do think when you get your eyes on the pro scene and you see how crazy it is and how strong these players are and how hype it can be, then you kind of get addicted. But the question is, like, are they willing to tune in at first? And I think once you kind of throw it in front of people's faces, it'll be better off. And to just be honest, the embedded views I don't think are going to be a bad thing for the game. Just again to get more eyes on the game, because I do think it's incredibly hype. And at the top level, everyone's willing to admit Rivals is so hype and so good in a team coordinated environment because there's so much going on.
So marketing, just bold, is bold, italicized, full font is
more
what I care
marketing.
about. Yeah. What I care about the most, obviously good, start here with what we got going on. It might be bold, but obviously at the end of the day, sponsors and things like that, they look at numbers. Embed views are great. what is a general reward that you can give for watching for drops that's not a skin that you can watch, whatever. Obviously, we all know what Overwatch does with their loot boxes, but how do they do that here? Whether it's just like small increments of units or whatever that as you watch, because I think as soon as you give some feed to the fish, people are going to realize, well, shit, this is really cool. I don't think they have to do it on everyone, but I do think it'd be really cool on special occasions if they did something to draw viewership more.
Like exclusive drops just for people who are partaking in the esports scene itself. We saw a little bit of that with Atlanta, right? With the Loki costume, pretty dope.
Sick skin,
All the different cosmetics from that too. I think that's a good way to get the casual fan base a little bit more involved in any esport, right? I mean, I come from Rocket League. We have drops every weekend, and people tune in mainly for that. Unfortunately, it's not the best chat experience, but that's how it is because so many people tune in because they're excited to see what the new cosmetic they can get and what they're going to get from the random things that they can get as well. And maybe that's the way to do it too. Randomize it a little bit. Make it so it's not guaranteed to get the same thing every time.
That's what I sent them. I said, how cool would it be if they got the Loki one out quick? We know it's just a couple colors of black and gold. Make that for all of them or 10 of them, and just like you don't know who you're gonna get is so dope. Like I think that's just and then if you get Widow, you're like, I guess I'm gonna keep watching because I'm not gonna use this, right?
Exactly.
So like,
I didn't get the one I wanted. I gotta get it next week or something like that, you know, like that we've seen so many different esports titles do great with that. I think
From
a big
Kinder
thing
Surprise to Marvel Rivals Ignite.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that we need from the scene as a whole is more showcase of the players' personalities, in my opinion. Like knowing why I should care about these teams, these players, who they are. And I think a lot of that comes with just the teams getting more comfortable with doing, you know, media and all this other stuff too. Like it's really hard to reach out to some of these players as well and like get them in front of a microphone or a camera. And I get it, you want to focus on the game and all this stuff, but to really like get into the weeds of like the storyline of, you know, where we saw it was referenced so many times, Spark Chief, you know, crying after the FlyQuest win. Like that stuff's great for the esport, and we need more like moments like that that really cement Marvel Rivals in the history of esports on a grander scale than just like this team's playing this team and it's, you know, good players and that's why you should care. Like I want to care about this person because like they have a deep story on like why this series matters so much to them and everything else that has to do with that, not just because they're really good at ranked, you know.
Yeah, I think year 2 can help with that. For one, I think it not being forced is really well. Like I think the reason why Bobo and hell Spark Chief, dude, I've seen like the same 4 clips because those are the ones that they can pull.
I mean,
like,
the TLC used it in their video like 4 times. I think,
I know.
when
I was cracking
they
up
announced
at that. But like that for sure. You know, I think it's a bit tough. Comms, I heard from you, Legday, like, dude, I would love it. Do I think NetEase will do it? That's another question. I think they're a little
They'll have to censor a lot.
Yeah, but it doesn't help. You have 100 Thieves on the winner interview, and it's just toast anyway. So, like, you know, I feel like comms, though, when Shibb and I did the J3 tournament, we would go in and out of comms, and it changed a lot of how me and him would cast, because we'd be like, throw it to comms right now. And, like, we would stop. It allowed us to collect our breath. But, like, dude, the chat was addicted to it. It was so... And, hey... Listen, yeah, highs are really cool, but man, you go to the team that just lost barely. I love the lows as well, and listening to how, you know, because by mental, like there was one team, Shibb, remember, we heard their comms and we were like, they're gonna lose the next game. They have no shot. Like their mental is shot. You know, so
nobody said a word. We went to comms, dead quiet.
Yeah, they won and it was nothing. Whatever they lost. Yeah, Shibb. So I think comms are good too.
But yeah, if it's not something that can be handled live because of well, like working with the Marvel IP is. You know, it's a constant
battle.
It's constant juggling. Like maybe there's a world where we can like blanket record comms on the production side and then like edit them down into the funny and acceptably legal bits.
Yeah, that's a good way to do it. Like more content like involved with the production, I think is always a good idea. Like on that end too. Like it's great to see the interviews and the content, especially what we saw in mid-season. I feel like if we bring more of that back to like the lands and everything, it'll really elevate things as well. I loved how you guys, you know, went into the crowd and did different bits during the grand finals. That was so fun to like be a part of and see how that got everyone excited. And I just hope we have like more LAN events in the future as well.
Dude, at the end of that, I remember because we did that a lot of the grand finals piece. They were like, "Cause we want you to go to the crowd," and then we did, and like, "Oh, we should have done more of that." I'm like, "Yeah, we should have." Like that would have been so fun. Like just getting these people. But also by then it was America lost, so the whole stadium was like barely there. But no, it was a good time. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. This was a long one, but I think a good one to get the season started. Again, you guys can find any of these handsome gentlemen. I'll put their links down below. Vod, I have no idea if you stream. I'm going to be honest. I know Leg does
sometimes.
and Shibb. Okay, Vod. And check out all their great content as well. And appreciate you guys. Have a good one. We'll see you on Friday. And happy rivaling. Goodbye.